Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special video. And today I'll be talking about Batman Beyond, which also marks today its 20th anniversary. It was 20 years ago in January of '99 that Batman Beyond made its debut on TV and in the comic books. And we're basically going to be talking about how the show started, all the villains, Bruce Wayne, Terry, blah blah blah, all that sort of stuff. But I won't be talking about it alone, because today I have with me a very good buddy and a fellow geeker and a big Batman Beyond fan like yours truly, Chris.
Hey everyone, I'm a geeker. I love that name.
Glad to have you here, Chris, and
Glad to be here, man.
welcome aboard. So, first thing I'd like us to talk about is how we first became aware of Batman Beyond. So, how did you first come about Batman Beyond? How did you first hear about it?
It's probably like year 6. Well, it was 1999, so I was about year 5, year 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was just like everyone was speaking about it in the playground, really.
No one really in my school was talking about Batman Beyond that much. I remember I said to you before that I first heard about Batman Beyond on Blue Peter of all places.
Nice.
And I remember I came home from school and I was looking for something to watch, and put CBBC on. It said Blue Peter coming up next, and I was like, yeah, whatever. And it said, we're going to be talking about Batman. I thought, oh, okay, that'll be good. And it was basically an entire show dedicated to the new show, Batman Beyond. And I remember the first thing I saw was Bruce Wayne in the black and red, and I remember watching it. I thought, whoa. I was completely blown away. I thought, it's all black, red, no cape. Obviously I didn't know Bruce Wayne was old.
Yeah.
All I saw was just I think I saw like one clip of Bruce Wayne as Batman just slugging out some villains. I thought, nice. I thought, so basically this is like a continuation of the animated series, but he's in a new suit. That's what I thought at the time. But did you first get a proper introduction to Beyond when you bought the video?
Yeah, well, Rebirth, the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be my gateway into it.
That was probably mine as well. I remember I went into London with my dad. We went into Virgin Megastore, and we always used to go down to the video section because, you know, there's always lots of cool stuff. And there it was. They had like copies of Batman Beyond. It had like a shiny Bat logo, and I said, oh, Dad, I want to have that because I heard it's supposed to be really good. And they said it was Batman Beyond the movie, and I thought, okay, so it is a movie. So bought the video. My dad bought me the video and watched the opening. I was completely blown away, but then I was so shocked when he pulled a gun. I'll never forget that. He like pulled a gun out, and I thought, what the hell? What's going on here? And, you know, and then you remember he stepped outside, and, you know, he took the cowl off, and he was like completely old. I thought, what the hell, you know?
Yeah, about mid-50s, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, it would have been about mid-50s, and, you know, seeing him holding the gun, shaking, it was just such a shock to me to see Bruce Wayne that old, because they never really done something like that before in the animated series. So I was really, really surprised about that. And it just, I was just hooked from the word go watching that. And I thought it was also nice that Batman Beyond was a continuation of the original animated series, that it wasn't just some hokey futuristic spin-off with no connection to the old show.
It was sucked with like a teenage Bruce Wayne in 2000 something. No, I wouldn't have watched that.
So it was nice that Batman Beyond had a connection to this, and so nothing was really changed. It was just like a direct continuation of everything that came before. Also, Batman Beyond also was shown on Kids WB in the States, because we never had I don't think we had Kids WB here, did we?
No, we had Toonami, man.
We had Toonami, but we never had Kids
Oh,
WB.
no.
I think Kids WB was briefly on satellite TV for a while, but I don't think they showed it here. My first reaction was that they made Batman a teenager. It was quite weird that he was a teenage Batman. Do you think in some ways it was kind of like a shout out to Spider-Man from Fox Kids?
Spider-Man,
The 90s show.
yeah, what was that one they did? The Spider-Man Limited, wasn't it?
Kind of like that,
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of, anyway.
So basically it was a different show, teenage Batman, and we also got old man Bruce Wayne, as you can see here. So it was kind of a very different show. Like Bruce Wayne's no longer Batman, so he's incredibly old and he's like living in Wayne Manor all alone with a dog called Ace. And those of you who don't know, Ace actually did exist in the comics back in the 50s. But it was very difficult for me to accept because, Bruce Wayne no longer being Batman, how was the show even going to work? I mean, what was you concerned about it?
Not really. But then...
Because did you think the show could work without Bruce Wayne being Batman anymore? Did you think it could have worked?
Well, it could have worked because do you remember Kingdom Come when he had like the mech suit underneath?
Yeah, I remember
that. Could have been alright.
Yeah,
but I'm glad they went with a new character because it keeps things fresh for a new audience.
Of course, it was a hard time for me to accept, but I came around to it eventually, and it was more believable to have Bruce Wayne retired and enter, this new character named Terry McGinnis. For me, Terry McGinnis was like, I don't know really. He was kind of like Jason Todd, but not as murky and gritty.
Yeah, I
as
see
Jason
that.
Todd.
Yeah, definitely.
He had like this rebellious attitude, but inside that rebellious attitude, he had this he had a good heart, unlike Jason Todd. So there was a charm to Terry McGinnis, and he wasn't like Dick Grayson or Tim Drake, who came before him in the show, where he was orphaned. He still had a family. He was still living with his family, and also in the show, Bruce Wayne is now training this rebellious teenager to be Batman. So that made it quite a lot of fun to see that, because we'd never really seen that we never saw that in the comics. Bruce Wayne actually training someone to be Batman. They would just automatically put the suit on, didn't they?
Yeah.
So we never really got to see that. So that was quite a nice treat. And also, what made the show different was there was no Nightwing, which I was a bit sad about because I love Nightwing. Also, there was no Tim Drake, no Robin. I know, how could you have Batman without Robin? It's just weird. And also, there was no Batgirl.
Well, it's Barbara Gordon, but...
Yeah, Barbara Gordon was in the show, but she was no longer Batgirl, and she also became Commissioner Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, that was cool.
Which I think, you probably agreed, made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Being the daughter of a cop, that she would take over her dad's role as Commissioner of the police force.
In Batman Beyond, it worked. For the Lego movie, it didn't at all. It was just so forced.
It was. I've never actually seen it, but I remember. But here in the show, it worked. And also, another thing as well, the show was set like 50 years in the future.
Yeah.
I know in the comic books they called it Neo Gotham, but they never actually called it that in the show, did they? They just called it Gotham City. So, yeah. So Bruce Wayne's no longer Batman. There are no sidekicks. Barbara Gordon's Commissioner of the police. And also, another thing that was a big surprise as well, we didn't have any of the classic members of the Rogues Gallery. There was no Joker.
No Riddler.
No Riddler. Yeah, I know.
My favourite, man.
I know.
Sorry, I fucking love the Riddler. You should have had some kind of shout out in the show.
But we had like a new set of characters. We had like Derek Powers, who
Max
for me,
Shrek.
yeah, he does a little bit. Derek Powers was kind of like the Lex Luthor of the show. He was like the criminal. You couldn't prove that this guy was a criminal. But I'm glad they didn't just keep him as just that suave talking billionaire that Lex Luthor was. they actually went very dark with him and became Blight. I mean, Blight was he was an amazing villain, which is quite weird when you think about it, because officially, as Blight, he only appeared, I think, 2 episodes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Officially, in his Blight form. I mean, Derek Powers was in the whole show, but you never actually saw him as Blight, only for like 2 episodes.
It always reminded me of, is it the Superman villain, Atomic Skull?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that is kind of like a little shout out to Atomic Skull, but yeah, Blight was definitely probably the best villain on the show, even though they didn't do much with him. He should have had a bigger role, but I really, really liked him. Also, this next character here, Ink, she was one of my favourites. She was really popular. I remember her very well. She was really popular. I think she probably had the most appearances in the show, probably more than any other villain. I really liked her a lot. I thought she was a really interesting character. I remember you said before she was like a combination of Clayface meets Venom.
Yeah, she's very like, I don't know, sexy Venom.
Yeah, she was really sexy, and this is Ink in her ink form, so to speak. And I really, I really liked her a lot. She gave Terry and Bruce hell. I remember that she was always a difficult one to beat. You always had to find different ways to beat her. Remember in one episode you had to beat her with Mr. Freeze's gun.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
No pun intended. And also we had Shriek. He was the sound guy. It was alright.
Do you know what? He actually reminds me of those guards they have in Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Where he has like a red helmet. That's what, yeah.
And also there's this girl, Kurari. I think they later on tied her to the League of Assassins, didn't they?
Well, League of Shadows, but yeah.
Yeah, they did connect it to her. And also we had these guys, the Royal Flush Gang. Now the Royal Flush Gang were like an old group of villains from the 50s. They brought them back in a cool way, and they were quite a big part of the show. And also one member of that gang in particular, I don't know if they were trying to go for this, but they tried, was Melanie Walker. I can't help but feel that Bruce Timm again were trying to make her like Terry's Selena Kyle in some ways, because she does kind of look like
blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, the mysterious cat-like blue eyes and the long blonde flowing hair, and that mysterious look to her. So they're definitely trying to push for Melanie Walker to be Terry McGinnis's Selena Kyle, so to speak. And there's also another thing as well, that Melanie Walker had a double life. She was part of the Royal Flush Gang as 10. So that made for quite an interesting dynamic, but didn't go very far though, did it?
Not really.
Couple episodes. I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes. And I think later on they revealed that Melanie Walker gave up being 10 and actually worked in a coffee bean somewhere in Gotham. So, shame really. Didn't really go far with her.
I'm a barista.
Yeah, I know. And also, oh yeah, how can we forget the Jokers? My issue with these guys is we didn't know much about them. They never did a backstory on these guys, did they?
No, they should have done.
Yeah, I mean,
although didn't they do something in the comics with them?
Not properly, no.
Oh.
Not properly. We know they were a tribute gang to the Joker. And I know the leader, J-Man, he's called. The story is that he's the only guy stupid enough to wear the classic tux of the Joker. But these guys didn't really do much in the show. I mean, they were just there to just get beaten up by Batman on a weekly basis. But still, it was quite fun to have around. So in a way, the Joker thing is still there. And also, this guy, Spellbinder. It's one of your,
cool.
Yeah, he's one of your favourites, isn't he?
I liked him more in The Batman, but I did like him in this as well, though.
Yeah, I liked Spellbinder. He was also quite a popular villain. He's got such a... He's not like, I'm going to destroy you, sort of evil. He had such a calm presence to him. And I think that's what made him a good villain, is because what's more interesting is a villain who you don't think is going to hurt you, but he is going to hurt you.
Yeah.
So that was quite cool. And also, one thing Terry has over Bruce Wayne is he has a girlfriend, and that's the lovely Dana Tan. Dana Tan I always felt, I don't know how you feel, but do you feel that Dana never really got a big part in the show, being Terry's girlfriend?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was interested to see what they was going to do beyond epilogue, but they never did anything beyond
No,
epilogue.
they
did
didn't. I always felt that Dana always got the short end of the stick. You know, Terry would always make excuses, and then he fucks off to do his Batman thing. And I don't know, really. I kind of felt Dana should have had a bigger part. You know, especially being the girlfriend of Batman. I think she should have had a bigger part. And also, one thing Bruce Wayne never had was a best friend, Max Gibson. I loved her. She was definitely my favourite thing about the show.
Yeah.
You know, she was such a tomboy, but she was awesome at the same time.
True. But you say something about him not having the best friend, but what was Harvey Dent, really?
He was, but, you know, the thing what I mean is, like, Bruce Wayne never had a best friend in that sense, because he never had, like, someone he could talk to and work very closely with, because Bruce, apart from Alfred,
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne never really had someone he worked with that closely.
No.
So I liked that Terry had that, someone he could share his secrets with and someone could cover for him. And also it was kind of good to see Max slowly work her way into that Bat family circle, because I was really hoping, even in the comics as well, I know you was hoping that they were going to start doing a Bat family Beyond, but we never quite got that, did we?
No. Shame.
So we're going to talk about top 10 episodes, and number 10 is one of your favourites. It's the Curse of the Cobra.
Nice.
I don't remember much about this episode. Do you?
No.
No,
It's one of my favourites, but I don't remember.
I kind of remember it a bit.
One of the Prince, isn't it? The Prince.
Yeah, I remember the character.
He's cool.
Yeah, I remember him. His name was Prince Xander.
Yeah.
He was like heir to the Cobra gang throne, so to speak. And I don't remember a lot about this one. I know.
No.
I mean, I remember you said this was one of your favourites.
Yeah, it's been a while. I remember him at the arcade and he was just being a kid. That was quite cool.
Yeah.
But that's all I seem to remember.
The only thing I remember about this episode in particular was he kidnapped Max and he wanted her to be queen as part of this Cobra cult, so to speak. But I don't remember a lot about this episode.
We should have done the research, man.
Yeah, I should have probably done my homework on this. I mean, it's been a long time since I watched this one. I mean, I do remember it was pretty decent.
Yeah, it was all pretty decent. Apart from Egg Baby.
Yeah, we won't talk about that
No,
one.
no.
But I don't remember much about this. But I remember it was nice to see Bruce, Max, and Terry have that little moment together. I'm not sure what went on here, but I think Xander might have died in this episode, or he might have been taken away. But the one thing I remember most about this episode, apart from that, was we got to see Max and Terry become more closer. So that's probably the one thing I remember most about this episode. But other than that, I don't remember much after that. Number 9. This is definitely one of my favourites, and definitely one of yours.
Yeah.
The Winning Edge.
Bane Beyond.
Bane Beyond! Hey! Now, this was a good episode. I like the way they handled steroid use in sports, but they didn't come across as like preachy or shoved down your throat. Basically, in this episode, boys from Terry's high school are using a thing called slappers. That sounds kind of weird saying that, but
You slapper.
but we'll roll with that. And basically, this slapper card gave these guys super strength on the Bane level. So and the coach knew about it as well, but he let it fly. Typical sports coach, always doing no matter what to win. And we see like the hockey team like tackling each other, but not in your traditional sports tackle. Like they're actually like seriously hurting each other. And I remember this. I remember this episode very well. This was definitely one of my favourites. I know this is one of your favourites too.
Yeah. But the suits just remind me of What was that Disney film? Tron.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, the suits do look a little bit like Tron. Now, one of the interesting things about this episode was Bane.
Yeah.
Now we know that Bruce and Terry learn that these, God, I can't even believe I'm saying this with a straight face, slappers is something connected to Bane. We learn that the slappers are actually Venom, and the only guy we know who had Venom was Bane.
Yeah.
Now, many of you remember Bane from the animated series. He gave Batman a lot of hell, beat him up pretty bad, and broke his back once. So Terry goes to see Bane, and to our shock, I remember watching this. What the hell is a Bane? What the hell? I mean, I knew Bane was going to be old and shit, but he just looks so old.
He does.
Even the way I was remember watching it, and Bruce was like putting him over, says, "Remember, he was a formidable opponent. Be careful." I thought, right, we know that Bane is going to be old. But fuck's sake, man, he was like really old. I mean, look at him here. He just looks like a vegetable.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He just don't do drugs.
Yeah.
But what was your thoughts on Bane's carer turning out to be the guy behind the whole thing? What was your thoughts?
Kind of a good twist.
What, Bane's carer?
Yeah. I mean, for some reason, the character model really reminds me of Zod.
He does.
It's the beard, isn't it?
I never realised that until now. This shot here, he does look like General Zod. Wow, I never really realised.
And the hair as well.
And the hair as well. And yeah, here's the Undertaker on a bad day. No, I'm kidding. I love Taker. But yeah, yeah, he starts to use the Venom for himself, and he becomes, God, jeez, Bane Beyond, so to speak. And yeah, man, it's just a good fight scene, I must say. I mean, Terry just got absolutely owned here. I mean, for fuck's sake. Could have been worse. He could have had his back broken. Wonder what they would have done there. But yeah, as I remember, this was a really good fight scene with these two. Probably one of the best fight scenes. But dude, what the hell, man? Oh man, horrible way to go for a villain, I must say.
He's hungover big time.
Yeah.
For those eyes, fucking hell.
No, he just went into like this comatose state. It's like, shit, man. Yeah, it happened to Bane. It happened to his friend. Good episode, I must say. All right, number 8. Now I remember this was your favourite episode. Sneak peek. Sneak peek.
Yeah, I remember this.
This was your favourite episode. This wasn't mine initially, but I revisited it again. It actually turned out to be pretty good. What do you remember about this one?
I remember that he snuck onto the Batmobile in some way, and he just recorded all this footage. And yeah, it was. I don't know, the whole concept of it was really interesting to me. Just
What, I can't remember what the guy's name was. Was his name Ian? Was his name
fuck.
Ian Peak or something? Or
I want to say it was Peak. Yeah,
yeah, I can't remember. Was it Ian or we'll just go with the
something
Peak.
Peak.
Yeah, we'll just go with the guy Peak. Yeah, basically, Ian Peak. Not Ian Peak. Was Peak. For Peak's sake, Peak was this chat show host. Used to get all the dirt on famous people and make a show out of it. And yeah, and one of the craftiest things anyone's ever done, I don't even think the Joker ever did this, he snuck a camera into the Batmobile and just started recording all the whole Batcave. I mean, if that doesn't make him a dangerous villain, I don't know, because I don't even think any of the Batman villains ever thought of that. I mean, I would have. So if I want to know who Batman is, put a camera.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one ever done that. And yeah, you see all this crazy footage of the Batcave. Yes, there it is, that giant dinosaur. And this shot here, the giant coin as well. It got that. And God bless you. Look at that. Aww.
Riddler, man.
Yeah, man. Who is Batman? Yeah, I like how he says who is Batman. He got the Riddler suit there. And also, he recorded like footage of Terry. I like how they blurred out Terry's face.
8-bit beyond.
I know, 8-bit beyond, you know, and they blur out Bruce Wayne as like 8-bit Wayne. Wow. But he had like this ability, didn't he, to like go through walls and shit, and that wasn't that how he got the information?
Yeah, he stole the suit from some
Tech-
scientist.
Who worked for Wayne Enterprises. Yeah. But God, I remember the ending of. Do you remember the ending of this episode?
He just kept falling to the earth, scored in
That's
this.
such a dark way to
Yeah.
go, man. Do you know what was kind of funny about Batman Beyond? Even though Bruce Timm kept saying over and over, it's a show that kids can watch as well. There was some dark stuff. There was some pretty dark stuff.
Definitely.
It was more darker than the animated series, I think. I mean, some of the way these villains died or went, it's just like, this is a kids show, right? Shit, it's just crazy, man. But yeah, great episode. Number 7 is our personal favourite, Meltdown.
I love that.
I love this episode. Every Mr. Freeze episode was good, I have to say.
Yeah.
But this one probably could be the best one. It was kind of nice in a way. I don't know if you look at it like this, but do you think it's kind of like a nice way to conclude Mr. Freeze's story arc, in a way?
Yeah, man.
Bringing him into Batman Beyond?
Definitely. I used to actually have this shot as my Facebook profile.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. Basically, really, the episode is Mr. Freeze is still living in the future, 50 years later, and Derek Powers has given him a new body, as you can see here. So basically, Victor Freeze Beyond, if you will. So he's given a second chance at a new life, but at the same time, Victor Freeze feels that it doesn't feel the same, does it?
No.
And I thought having the head being buried, I thought that was a nice symbolic way to end all those years of torture for Victor Freeze. So it's kind of like what was he said? It's the end of an old life and the beginning of a new one. So I thought that was a nice way that they ended that. And also, one thing I liked was Terry McGinnis. He was so open to give Victor Freeze a second chance, but Bruce Wayne, being Bruce Wayne, goes, he didn't trust him, you know. And I remember Terry. Do you remember Terry said that? Oh, what's your problem? You know, he's just a guy trying to rebuild his house. And he's like saying, it's a cold damp that runs through that house, you know.
Yeah.
So I can understand why Bruce Wayne would be skeptical about a newly reformed Victor Freeze. But once again, Bruce Wayne was right, because Mr. Freeze soon went back to his wife. Wow, that is amazing.
I do like that picture.
I do, man. I love that picture a lot. Mr. Freeze Beyond. So yeah, he didn't take him long to get back to his old ways, did it?
No.
But in a way, you can't really blame Freeze. I mean, how would you feel? You're given a second chance at a new life, and then the people who gave you the second chance just basically try to fuck you over.
Dude.
You know, it wouldn't take long for you to go back to your evil ways.
Yeah, I suppose not.
And also, this was the first official introduction to Blight, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, right.
Because he became Blight at the end of Rebirth, didn't he?
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And we saw him, not necessarily in full Blight form, but we saw him like talking to Ink, and his whole skin started falling off. Ugh, horrible. But yeah, this was the official
Goldmember Beyond.
Goldmember Beyond, yeah. Yeah, because, oh, my skin's falling off, I'm so sorry. So yeah, this was the first introduction to Blight. And yeah, this was actually the first time him and Terry actually went proper at it. And also, another thing I liked with this episode was how many days do you see two villains going at it?
Ah, it's true.
Quite a rare moment. I mean, I know we always used to see the Joker and Two-Face at each other's throats, but that was just more Joker just winding Two-Face up rotten. But here is like Blight is just systematically trying to, I don't know, eliminate Freeze. I don't know, but fuck, man. This is a guy who lives in the cold. How do you combat a guy who's just like a walking sun?
He is, yeah.
He is. He's just literally a walking sun. I mean, oh my god. God, talk about sunburn.
I always loved the colours to Blight. If it had been red or orange, it wouldn't have worked.
No, it would not have worked. It would have just been too cliche, wouldn't it? Just
Yeah.
having a red skeleton walking around. But no, I agree. You know, having Blight being this bright, glowing green guy was what worked really well. I mean, I remember that line. Remember that line Terry said, or Bruce said, "I'm afraid my suit's not designed for that levels of radiation." I should think not.
Yeah, definitely.
But as great as this episode was, it was also kind of sad because Mr. Freeze basically like sacrificed himself to save Gotham. So I think this was the last time we saw Mr. Freeze. He didn't appear in Batman Beyond comics, did he?
There was a reference, but other than that, I don't think
We never
so.
saw him again, did we?
No.
So yeah, another top episode and the last appearance of Mr. Freeze. Righto, number 6. This was your favourite, I believe. Spellbound.
Oh, Spellbound, yeah.
Yeah, it was Spellbinder. What do you remember about this one?
Is this the one where everyone thinks Batman's killed Mad Stan?
No, that was
okay.
season 2. This one was like Spellbinder was basically brainwashing people to thinking what they see, and then making them commit the robberies and give it to him, the stuff that they stolen, and give it to him, and after they don't remember anything after. I remember him very well. He had a very calm voice, quite an unusual costume, and used to have that eye orb.
Yeah.
And I used to zap people for a quick one. He started zap his eye literally into his victims' faces, and I don't know really. He was kind of like, I remember watching this a couple of days ago on YouTube, and I remember he was like a combination of the Scarecrow and the Mad Hatter. I mean, take this scene for example. Like this was at the beginning. He brainwashes Chelsea to thinking like she's in the jungle. But she's not. She's like, I remember she's like holding a brush. She's like doing cutting down bushes, but she's not really. And she like robbed a museum and just like dumped it somewhere, but she thinks she dumped it off the cliff. And then Spellbinder just left and she didn't remember. And there was another shot here. He brainwashed this, I think, was he an accountant? Yeah, he brainwashed this guy to think he was in World War II.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I really don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember this. He was like he was holding like a mannequin dummy from a shop, but in his mind he's trying to help a fallen comrade. He goes, "We have to get you to safety. Let's go!" And he's not. He's just like jumping on rooftops, and he's like, but in his mind he thinks he's on the battlefield, and yeah, that was quite a fun moment. A very unusual thing. I'm very surprised they didn't do that in the animated series. Favourite moment here. It's not much, but Terry finds a suit that he's trying to look for his mate's wedding, and it's got DG on there. And you remember this? Terry asks Bruce, "Who's DG?"
Yeah, because I always thought it was Dolce Gabbana, and then I thought, no, Dick Grayson.
I knew it was Dick Grayson, but they never actually said it by name, did they?
No.
And he goes, "Who's DG?" And then Bruce just gives him that look, like none of your business, or don't ask questions. You know, that's about as close to a Dick Grayson reference we got. And also, Terry and Spellbinder, they go at it, and I remember Terry got blasted twice. First time he thought he was in Niagara Falls. He jumps off a building thinking he's jumping into the water. And then there was another shot where he was blasted thinking he was fighting zombies.
Wow.
Wow, Joker's on steroids.
If that was done today, that'd probably be like Black Lanterns or something.
Definitely. And Spellbinder turned out to be the school counsellor.
Nice.
And also, one thing I liked for this episode the most, this was the official first time that Commissioner Barbara Gordon met Terry McGinnis face to face. I think she already knew who he was, but they never met. So this was kind of like the first official meeting.
Oh, is this the episode when he goes, "She's Batgirl"?
No.
Oh.
This was the setup for that. This
I
was
see.
the setup for that. But she says that little line, "I'll stay out of trouble, kid." So obviously it's a little setup for the next episode, which was Touch of Kurari. So We're now down to top 5. Number 5, my favourite and yours,
Yeah.
The Call,
Oh,
Part
I love
1.
this.
Wow, where do we start?
Micron. You know what? I always used to think this was the Atom.
So did I. I always
Yeah.
thought it was Atom Beyond.
Yeah. That's the way they call him Atom. Micron, because he's so clearly.
No,
Atom.
he's supposed to be the Atom, wasn't he?
He's not in any way connected to Ray Palmer or any
No,
other.
he's
So,
not.
oh,
I know.
annoying.
I know, he should have been. Basically, in this episode, Micron's on a job and he gets badly injured while trying to save a train. But we don't know. Someone tried to sabotage the train, but we don't know who. So that's how this episode kicks off. So Superman meets Terry and goes to the Batcave, and oh man, grumpy old world's finest. So it's nice to see Bruce, old man Bruce, meeting Superman once again, and look at Terry here. I mean, Terry, he's such a little fanboy there in the background. Do you remember he's like standing all grinning and seeing Superman and Bruce talking, and Bruce is like, "What are you smiling at?" He goes, "Nothing." Hey, look, if I was Terry and I was in the Batcave and I saw Batman and Superman talking to each other in their old age, I'd be fanboying the shit out of that. Big
Definitely,
time.
man.
You know, I would be so fanboying out of that. So, basically, this moment here is Superman's basically come to meet with Bruce to basically ask him to join the Justice League. Do you think? What was your thoughts on this? Do you think it was the right time for Terry to be mixed with the Justice League, or do you think it was a bit soon?
I think we spoke about this. It should have been the last episode, and then connecting to its own Beyond the show.
Yeah.
Like Justice League Beyond.
Yeah. I think this should have been the finale, really, the series finale. So basically, Bruce is saying it's up to Terry. One issue I did have was the costume. It was okay, but I just felt it was a bit too generic. The Superman Beyond suit. I mean, I remember you said before that it should have been the Kingdom Come suit.
Yeah, I love that suit. Or at least, I don't know, like red and black with the red cape. But
Yeah.
even, I don't know about cape, maybe not a cape,
Yeah.
but
We also were introduced to the JLU, which is like they were called Justice League Unlimited, but to us it's the Justice League Beyond. But in the show they were called the JLU. So we already met Micron, Atom Beyond, to us anyway.
yeah.
We had for this team we had Barda from the New Gods, Aquagirl, and once again the Green Lantern ring was passed down, but this time very interestingly to a little 8-year-old Buddhist boy.
He was 8. Oh, right.
That's what I heard. I
Oh.
heard he was 8 years old, and Warhawk,
Mhm.
one of my favourite guys. So yeah, they, as you can see, they're not happy about it. Superman's brought Terry in to join the Justice League, and they don't exactly welcome him with open arms, which is kind of ironic because Batman has always turned the spotlight away from the Justice League, and Terry's here, and they're like, "Well, we don't want this guy. He's not Batman. He's not the original Batman." So that made for quite some interesting moments here, and also one person who was particularly not happy about the idea of Terry being part of the team was Warhawk. He he was very vocal. If you remember, he was very vocal about his disapproval to the idea of this imposter joining. So Terry's going through the files, and I'd like to think that at some point in the show, in the DCAU, that Arthur and Mira had a daughter, because remember they had a son, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right.
So I'd like to think that they had a daughter at some point as well.
I think there actually was talks about their second child in Harley, Batman and Harley.
All right. Also, we had Barda. I personally should have think it been Wonder Woman,
Yeah, yeah.
not I haven't got a problem with Barda, but I think it would have been better to have Diana, because that way you could have had Trinity Beyond.
Oh, definitely, man.
That would have been quite nice, and I think to have Diana would have balanced it out a bit more. Not Barda. I didn't like Barda that much. We also had Warhawk. When I first saw Warhawk, I don't know, you probably will agree with this, but did you thought he was Hawkman Beyond?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I actually thought he was Hawkman Beyond. That I thought at some point Shire and Katar had a son, Hawkman, and who grew up to be Hawkman Beyond, but we learned later on that was not quite the case.
He always reminded me of the bad guy from the Gargoyles.
Oh, Xantos.
He had the gargoyle armor, yeah.
Yeah, he did a little bit. Yeah, I can see what you mean by that. Also, we had the little Buddha boy.
Kai, wasn't it?
Cairo.
The Cairo.
Not Cairo. Kairo. Yeah. He was alright. Much to go with on him, really. He's okay. Just not much to say about him. This was actually the first time in the DCAU we got to see the Justice League in action in this style, so that was quite a lot of fun. So this is kind of a little test run for the Justice League animated series that came later. Also, this was quite a dark thing. Warhawk saves the missile and smack.
Wow.
I know his helmet like hits the windscreen. I mean, fuck you. I'm telling you, this show was so dark, darker than the animated series. Yeah, that's all that was left. Wow.
No, he didn't die then, did he? He died.
I
really can't remember.
I can't remember. We'll get to that in a minute. So, Bruce learns that the traitor within the League, and that was where we learned why Superman brought Terry in. The traitor was none other than Superman. What was your thoughts on this? Superman being the bad guy again?
Interesting, but I'm glad they didn't really. They could have easily done it as Superman has been corrupted by time and the loss of Lois Lane and everyone he ever loved. I mean, that would have been interesting, but I'm glad that it was more of a brainwash thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of Superman being a bad guy, but I can't help but feel they kill it a bit.
Yeah.
Also, this was a cool moment. This was at the end, Bruce is basically asking Terry to
kill Superman.
Yeah, and I like the little reference about this ain't the first time Superman's turned rogue. I thought that was kind of a nice shout out to the episode from animated series where Superman tried to take over the world.
Yeah.
So having to ask Terry to kill Superman was quite a big deal. I mean, you're a teenage boy, you're basically asked to take another life.
Shit.
Yeah, it is very deep stuff, and that line at the end saying, do whatever it takes, but make sure you stop him, was like...
Wow, did he say that? Fuck.
Yeah, he actually said that.
I'd forgotten that.
Yeah, he goes, do whatever it takes, but make sure you stop him. And I thought that was a really cool way to end part 1. So we're going to carry on now to number 4, which is basically what we're still talking about.
Part 2.
But this time it's part 2 of the call. Part 2... I thought part 2 was not as good as part 1. It was still good, but I thought part 1 was a little bit stronger. We learn here that Warhawk is still alive. He explained that he got an emergency call to jump out of the suit, and he's starting to come around to Terry saying that the kid disobeyed me. I like that. I thought that was quite cool. So we learn that the team knows that Superman is a traitor. So I thought Warhawk really shined in this episode a lot, because he didn't want to really ask Superman questions. He just wanted to beat the shit out of him. I don't blame him. I mean, if a teammate was trying to murder me, I wouldn't exactly be doing backflips about it myself, nor would you.
No.
So he's back from the dead after blood. So the team confronts Superman, and they realise that something isn't right because I think, wasn't he trying to kill Micron?
Yes.
He was. Because didn't it turn out that Superman sabotaged the train that got him hurt?
Ah, yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
It was him, wasn't it? Yeah, it was him. So he's trying to kill Micron, and we learn here that Superman isn't himself because of Starro.
The jellyfish.
The jellyfish.
Oh, starfish. Starfish.
See,
Yeah.
we had a great This is why I didn't. I do like part 2. Don't get me wrong, but this is what lets it down for me. I didn't like the idea of a starfish controlling Superman. I personally think, and I remember you said this to me, that the main villain should have been Vandal Savage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vandal Savage Beyond.
That would
I think
have been cool.
that would have been an excellent way to go. Not Starro. I just never liked Starro. And the idea of a fish controlling Superman just was a bit
Fishy.
yeah, that works. We get a little flashback from Superman the Animated Series where we learn where the starfish came from. There was an episode in season 1 called The Main Man, part 2, where Superman and Lobo were prisoners by this alien collector who collects all these rare species from different planets, and he had a starfish, Starro, and basically when Superman busted out of this alien prison, as you can see here, the starfish escaped. So I think, from what I remember of this episode, I think Superman took the starfish into his fortress and kept him as a pet. And I think he was feeding him one day. God, I can't. This is such a stupid thing. He was feeding him, and it jumped on him. And we was told that this fish had been on him for years.
Mm.
I never really bought into that.
No.
So, you're telling us that throughout the whole DCAU canon, so to speak, that this fish has been on Superman for years.
Well, even in Justice League Unlimited.
I don't know. They never really made it very clear.
Because the episode, was it the Hereafter? I'm pretty sure you see bits of his chest exposed. So he couldn't have been.
No, it couldn't have been. So they shot themselves in the foot there with their discontinuity there. So we see like the Justice League have all been controlled by these starfish. Oh god. This is one of those things you needed Aquaman. No disrespect to the daughter. So I never did like those boom tubes. So rather than killing them, they send them back to their world, and yeah, they live very peacefully.
Unless, like, it takes place after Justice League Unlimited.
Possible.
Because, I don't know.
So after all that, Terry's finally won the team's approval, and they ask him to join full time. God, Superman must be cold like that.
He's Kryptonian, so...
What about Marina?
Oh, yeah, shit.
My gosh, she must be catching a death dress like that.
Some pants on, girl.
I know, right? So the team basically ask Terry to join, and he basically he kind of says no, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But he says, what was that line he said? It got me thinking a lot watching this again. Goes, they said, oh, it'll put you over on one on the old Batman. He goes, maybe he and I have something in common after all. And there's that shot at the end where Terry's walking away and Superman says, more than you think, son, more than you think. Now, do you think it's possible? I wanted to ask you this. This is what I was thinking about last night. Do you think it's possible that Superman knows that Terry McGinnis is the son/clone of Bruce Wayne? Do you think he already knew by that point?
Possible.
I know they didn't do epilogue till years after this, but
Yeah.
do you think it's possible that Superman knows that information?
I think they might have had a blueprint of what they wanted to do for epilogue, but that's about it.
So you don't think Superman knows?
It might, maybe.
Number 3, coming to the top 3 now. Our favourite.
Yes.
Out of the Past. Love this one.
Batman, Batman, Batman.
Here among us all, Batman. Yeah, this is basically, we kick off this episode with it's quite funny. It does throw you off a bit because you think it's like the classic Batman, and all of a sudden it goes to this. It's we kick the show off with a Batman musical. I remember watching this, and I just was completely shocked. Like, what the hell is this? And apparently, didn't Kevin Conroy sing?
Yeah.
He did, didn't he? Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, this is what would happen if Joel Schumacher got to do Batman 5.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. A Batman musical, basically. And, oh my god, it's just so funny, but so stupid at the same time. Oh my god.
Kind of reminds me of the Zeta Project kind of
Yeah.
animation.
Yeah. George Clooney playing dress up. No, everyone, that is not Kerry Kelly. I have to say though, that Poison Ivy chick looked quite sexy.
I was about to say that, yeah, definitely.
And that cat looks definitely something out of Cats.
Oh yeah, I swear it's meant to be that though.
Yeah, but yeah, Poison Ivy she looks quite hot in that. I know it's not really her. And, oh, poor Bruce. I know, Bruce is like look sitting there and goes, I cannot believe this is what you gave me for my birthday.
But the guy sitting between them kind of looks like a really young Alfred.
He does, like, yeah, in Alfred's younger days, and yeah, I can see Terry's like, oh come on, Bruce, it's Shway, and you know, Bruce is like, it's Shway, bitch. Poor Bruce. One of the things I really liked about this episode a lot, and this episode really touched upon Bruce Wayne's age quite a lot. I mean, we already knew that Bruce was old, but this was actually the first real episode for me. I don't know what you think, but for me, this is an episode that Bruce's age was addressed quite heavily.
What was it? Was he 80? Or was he...
They never really said how old he was, did they?
No. I always put him down as 80 to... I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe 82?
So Bruce is starting to reminisce, and this is perv mode right here, mate. You know, he's looking at all these ladies. He goes, I hit that, you know, and goes looking at Lois, goes, yeah, I hit that, but don't tell Clark, you know. And yeah, I hit that, but the one that got away. And he's got like a picture of Barbara Gordon. See, I never got into this.
His best friend's daughter, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You could have had the idea that Barbara Gordon had a crush on Bruce, but leave it at that. But to put them in a relationship was just weird,
Yeah.
especially age gap wise. And this picture here confused a lot of people, me included. Some people said, "Oh, is that Vicky Vale, or was it Andrea Beaumont?" And I think later on they said that it was actually Barbara Gordon, but just a couple years older.
Yeah.
And they said the reason why Andrea's picture's not in there is because, you know, she killed people. So yeah, Bruce is in perv mode, reminiscing about all these old ladies, Zatanna, Lois, etc. And enter the lovely Talia, coming to see her beloved, to wish her a happy birthday. And
Yeah.
this was quite a cool scene because we get to see how much Terry has grown as Batman, because by this point he's been Batman for about 2 years now, and this was the first and proper only time that the events of the Apocalypse of '09 was addressed.
Yeah, yes.
This is when Terry was explaining about what happened, about the stuff that went on in New Cuba and the other shit. So this was quite cool to learn about what happened in the Apocalypse of '09. Such a shame, really. Damn it, we should have got a movie about that. That would have been awesome. So they talk about the Apocalypse of '09, and Talia basically offers the ultimate birthday gift to Bruce Wayne, which is eternal youth. So For those of you who don't know out there, eternal youth can only mean one thing: the Lazarus Pits.
Yeah.
What did you think about Bruce Wayne stepping into the Lazarus Pit?
Interesting concept, but I mean, it should have been at least 2 parts. But
Yeah, it should have been.
yeah,
Because he never fully became. He wasn't fully young, was he?
no,
He didn't go back to 30.
no, but that's because Raish wanted to keep,
Yeah, I know
the
that.
look,
The
obviously.
look. Yeah, of course. You disturbed my shower, Terry. Oh my god. It's like, how dare you? It's like Bruce just emerged out of a hot bath. He's like, damn it, Terry, what do you want? Yeah. The idea of Bruce Wayne taking a plunge in the Lazarus Pit, like you say, is an interesting concept. And I remember like going by old mainstream comics, even back in the old animated series, Bruce was dead set against using the Lazarus Pit. I mean, I remember there was a line where Raish said to Bruce that I can give you your father back, and he said no. I think I remember something like that.
Oh.
Rule number 1: whenever you merge out the Lazarus Pit, you slug the first thing in front of you. And yes, you slug your boy. But yeah, it was quite an interesting thing to see Bruce back in his what? How old would you say, about 50s? How old would you say he was there?
I don't know. I think 50, 55.
Our favourite moment in this episode was definitely seeing the 2 Batmen heading into battle, beating the shit out of all the guys, and having the old Batman theme all rocked up. That's made for a really, really fun moment.
It's cool that Terry had shorts, so it's like Batman and Robin as well.
Oh yeah! I never looked at it like that. Can you imagine if the shorts were green?
Yeah, that'd been cool.
That'd have been awesome. And that's a beautiful shot right here. It's definitely something that could work in live action. That shot,
Definitely.
like, it is kind of like the 60s Batman in a way, like having little smiles there after they beat up the bad guys. But yeah, I never really thought of it like that. Batman and Robin heading into battle. But now that you mention it, when you look back at this, yeah, it kind of is. And probably the biggest OMG moment was Talia revealing herself to be Raish.
Dude, in a weird way, I just thought this. She's kind of one of the very first transgender characters.
Oh yeah.
Way before it was mainstream, I guess.
But that line where she says, detective, like, I remember you said to me before, how sick would it have been, and cool, if Talia said beloved in David Warner's voice. It just would have been like, ugh. Oh man. But yeah, that's a nice little, I like that shot there. That's quite cool. So we learn basically Raish's plan is to have his mind transferred into Bruce's body, and he was going to return to Gotham with proof that he's the biological son of Bruce Wayne and Talia. Now, when did Damian Wayne didn't come out till like 2000s, wasn't it?
2006, but they had made reference to a son in there in Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
But it was like I think it was a Hebrew name or not a Hebrew name.
So this was kind of like the closest they hinted at possible son in the DCAU. So Terry comes in and to save the day, and there's that line he says, "That is the sickest thing I've ever heard, lady. You're creeping me out." And Bruce just kills it by saying, "You."
She kissed me.
Oh man, yeah. Can you imagine? I don't really want to put nightmares in your head, but can you imagine banging Talia and you hear David Warner say, "Beloved"? Ugh. Just would have been cringy. So after all that, Raish is defeated and Bruce is back to being perv mode again. No, I'm kidding. He's not actually in perv mode this time. It's actually a nice picture of him and Talia. This was kind of that place that she was referring to where they went on a date, I think.
Yeah.
And it's actually a really nice picture. I think I think the place they're talking about was in a comic book in Batman Adventures, where Talia and Bruce went on a date. That might be the place they're talking about. I can't remember the name of it though. So we see Bruce here. He's slowly reverting back to his original age. I really wish they kept him like that for the rest of the series. What do you think? Do you think they should have kept him that age for the rest of the series?
At least till the end of the season, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he looked quite. I liked him like that. That's probably my favourite design of Bruce Wayne for Batman Beyond. Shame that was only that one episode.
When was that? It wasn't like the first episode of a new series, was it?
No, it was like the 5th or 6th new episode of the series.
See, they could have easily done that.
So that's a nice shot there. That was actually my profile picture when I log into my laptop.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I really like that picture a lot. So Terry leaves after Bruce tells him to basically, piss off. And he it is a real shame we never got to see the real Talia in Batman Beyond. Would have been quite interesting to see how she would have interacted with Terry.
Yeah.
The real Talia, that is.
Yeah.
So he solemnly says, "Rest well, beloved," because we know now that Talia did actually die. That's a shame. Okay, number 2. This was one of your favourites.
Yeah.
Earth Mover.
It's really freaked me out as a kid.
I remember this one. What is it you liked about this one in particular?
I think it just the idea of someone who's still alive after all these years and just able to move the ground and make it into its.
Look at this. This is so dark.
It is crazy
for a cartoon. It's brutal shit here.
I think this actually might be my very first episodes. I remember
that when you sent me like your top 10 lists. And you said Earth Shake. You said Earth Shaker.
Yeah.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah.
And I looked back on this episode. I was looking back on this last night, just putting this all together for us to do, and yeah, I remember.
It's like Clayface, man.
Yeah, man. I remember this episode very well, and I asked my dad last night. I said, "Do you remember an episode in season 2 called Earth Mover?" He goes, "Oh, is that the guy who looked like a green skeleton? He could move the ground." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah." And he said, "That was a very dark episode for Sunday morning."
Yeah, on ITV2. Oh, ITV, sorry.
On CITV.
CITV.
CITV, yeah. It was. I remember I recorded it and I watched it, and I thought, this is pretty dark crap for Sunday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
And basically, a construction worker falls into the ground, and he has all this radioactive waste dumped on him. Well, I wouldn't say dumped on him in that sense, but it fell on top of him, and it was said that he died, and it turned out not to be the case. And oh fuck's sake, that is really
looks like a Crypt Keeper Beyond, man.
Crypt Keeper Beyond. Never really thought of that, but yeah, basically, he was able to move. He was embedded. Basically, he was embedded into the ground, and he was able to basically cause all these tremors and earthquakes. And his daughter found out he was still alive, and the guy who was caring for him, didn't it turn out not to be her dad? Something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. It was quite a dark episode. And finally, number 1, the one that started this all, my favourite and yours, Rebirth. Yes. Wow. That was the shot I saw. That was the first shot I saw. I remember this. I remember I was watching this. He was just cleaning house, doing Batman stuff as he always does. I thought, man, that is a cool costume.
Looks better on Bruce, I think, though.
It does. And then it goes to this, and I started to feel uncomfortable. What's going on? I know Batman's only human, but it didn't make any sense what was going on. So he started having heart trouble during a fight. Wow. And then he gets the crap beat out of him, and then he goes and does this.
Wow.
Yeah, pulls a gun. It's crazy, man. So after that, we see Batman out of breath, and I remember watching this the first time. I just found this to be so sad. This is why I'm not quite getting all excited like we was doing earlier. I mean, just watching this again made me feel a bit sad.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't something I was used to seeing. Batman out of breath and basically losing a fight, so to speak. And he pulls off the cowl, and we see that Bruce is like incredibly old. And it just made me feel really sad. It really did. I thought, this is the start of a new show, and this is how Batman starts? What the hell is this? I mean, what was your thoughts on the whole gun thing?
I'm surprised. I don't know. Just yeah. I mean, like you said, he's only human, so it doesn't really surprise me that I'll pick up anything just to save his life.
Of course.
In the end,
Yeah, it was not meant. It was not. Unfortunately, it was not Batman's night, I'm afraid. So after all that, we come to the Batcave, and we basically see Bruce putting away the costume. And I remember watching this, the music being very, very sad. I thought, what's happening here? Because I remember watching. You got to remember, this is like 20 years ago, watching this, and that line Bruce says, "Never again," and that was the last shot you see. And I thought, that's it? Yeah, that's all we got. Was just like, how long was he Batman in this episode? It was like 5 minutes, wasn't it?
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
About 5 minutes. So basically, Bruce retired, and we are introduced to Terry McGinnis. Now, Terry is living with his dad, Warren, who looks kind of like a young Jim Gordon, so to speak.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Or Bryan Cranston. Yeah, and his parents are divorced, so he's living with his dad. And Warren has got hold of some dodgy information involving Derek Powers. So father and son get into this. It looks a bit like Jason there, actually. So father and son get into an argument, and you can see here Terry is very different to the other kids who Bruce took in. He has a very troubled past. We know a lot of the kids did have troubled past, but you can see Terry a bit of tragic background to him. So he leaves in a huff, and he meets Bruce, and it's kind of cool to see him fight the Jokers for a little bit. And then he finds the Batcave accidentally, in a very similar manner to when Batman's origin. Do you remember when the bat flew in his house?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very similar to that, wasn't it? The clock, the bat was trapped in the clock, and Terry tried to get it out.
That's right.
And that's how he found the Batcave. So he finds all these suits, and he realises that the old man he saved was Batman, which was quite cool. It was quite cool.
I wonder who can fight.
Get out! Oh dear. He said, "Get out of my house!" So he's thrown out and comes back, and I can't help but feel this manner is very similar to Spider-Man. Comes back and he finds his dad murdered.
Oh, I see you mean with Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what does any teenager do when their parent is murdered? Take matters in your own hand.
Kick some ass!
Kick some ass, yeah. So, what was your thoughts watching Rebirth and seeing a teenager in the Batsuit?
It was good. I mean, like,
It was unusual.
I'm so glad it wasn't Bruce Wayne again. And
No.
I mean, it could have easily been 20 years down the line, and maybe Tim Drake. No, 10 years, I guess. Do Tim Drake, but then
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know if that would have worked, to be honest.
No.
Considering his personality at the time.
Yeah.
When I saw Teenage Batman, at first I was like, oh no, this is not going to work. But it ended up actually working better than I can imagine.
Could have been Jean Paul Valley as a teenage Batman. That would have been weird.
Would have been weird, but it would have been interesting to see how that would have played out.
Yeah.
Also, and one other thing in this episode we should point out, he indirectly threw a can of nerve gas into Derek Powers, as you can see.
Yeah, good. He's a fucking arsehole.
I know. So this was a very awesome setup, because in many ways, depending on what you read, Bruce was indirectly responsible for Jack Napier becoming the Joker.
That's right, yeah.
So to have Terry basically be indirectly responsible for Derek Powers turning into Blight was kind of a nice way to bring it all full circle. So it was kind of like both Batmen are responsible for creating their greatest enemies, so to speak. And yeah, more dark stuff. I mean, Derek Powers' main man here, Fix, he got electrocuted here. you actually see a guy get electrocuted on a cartoon.
Well, you not see him again after this episode?
No, you don't.
Oh shit! I didn't even
I think he. No, I don't know really. I mean, it's probably more than likely he drowned, but he's never mentioned again. He didn't appear in the comics or in the TV show, so yeah, he only appeared from this first 2 episodes, and that was it. He was gone. That was it for Horror Fix. Didn't fix it well there. So after that, Bruce comes to Terry and offers him a quote-unquote job, so to speak. People have always said that this scene was a bit sitcom-ish.
Really?
Like the music, yeah, like they said it was a bit cheesy, but I feel like you had a little acoustic guitar playing in the background.
Okay.
Yeah, but I thought this was. I thought this. You had to have a nice scene like this after all that dark stuff. And Bruce extends his hand out and says, "Welcome to my world." I thought that was a really badass line.
It'd be funny if it was like, "I can show you the world."
Thank you. You know, shake hands, and we also get the setup that we was talking about. I'm quite surprised how they set Derek Powers up to be the main villain already so quick.
Was that in Arkham, or was that?
No, that was in his hospital. I think that was one of his secret clinics he has in Wayne Powers.
Oh, okay.
So after much extended treatment, we see Derek Powers basically mutate into Blight. And I can't help but feel, I mean, I don't know what you think, that when he looks in the mirror and he starts bursting out laughing, it kind of reminds me of Jack Napier seeing Batman 89, seeing himself in the mirror laughing. So yeah, you have it really. Number 1, our favourite, Rebirth. So there you have it, guys. 20th anniversary of Batman Beyond. It's quite fun, going down memory lane, going through all these episodes.
Even if you can't remember it.
Even if you can't remember all of them. But Chris.
Yeah, man.
Glad to have you here. Great enjoying talking Beyond.
It was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you enjoyed listening to our thoughts. Take care, everyone.
Bye bye.